What's up, bikers? Welcome to episode 173. Today's guest, Evan's MTB Saga. And holy cow, man, it's been a while since we talked to this guy. I forget what the episode number was. It was like 107 or something. It was a while ago. And at the time, he was at 20,000 subscribers. And now, pretty sure that dude's got the plaque. And I'm a little jealous, but anyways, lots of things have changed for him, and we'll catch up with him in a minute. So before we get started, first of all, thank you to everybody that signed up for the memberships on YouTube lately. It really means a lot. You guys are honestly supporting the channel, and as I've said a million times, the dump truck load of money doesn't show up with the current state of affairs in the biker empire. So it's a meaning. It's not much coming in there. I think last week on YouTube it said you made $25, so that was probably worth it. Anyways. If you're thinking about joining and you're watching online, just hit the little join button down below. Otherwise, just subscribe. And those of you that are listening on podcasts, do a review wherever you listen at. I haven't seen a new one on the Apple Podcast in a while. Those are always fun to check out. So maybe give me something exciting to check out. I've been doing this show weekly on the other channel called Backpedal, and it's talking about what I like, this current weight loss journey that I'm on. And it's been super fun. So you can catch that over there. What was I going to say? It had something to do with this. Whatever, man. I'm not good at this broadcasting thing. Anyways, one last thing I want to say, and this is going to be a little bit of a downer, and then I swear we'll get into the show and be stoked about it. But a friend of mine who's been on the show before, his name is Derek. He runs a company called Dialed Health. He was on a road ride and out about doing his thing, and somebody hit him at a very high rate of speed, and then basically just left him on the side of the road to potentially die. And that really sucks. And because of that, obviously, you know, the authorities are involved and they're trying to figure that out. But he's been in multiple surgeries. He's got all kinds of injuries. Fortunately, no like spinal trauma or no head trauma, so it's all things that should be able to be fixed with time. And fortunately, he's in really good shape. So the long story short here is that, first of all, if you're out driving, like, give people plenty of room. It's not worth like changing somebody's life that's a father or a daughter or a son, you know, and whatever you want to say. You get what I'm saying there. But we also have set up a support fund for him through one of the local nonprofits here. And so they put a page up on their website that 100% of the donations are going to him and his family to help them like get through this a little financially. And if you're feeling inclined to donate, hit the link. It's in Show More, or if you're on the podcast, it'll be down there in the show notes, and go over there and drop something off. If you don't want to do that, Super Bowl Sunday, if you're here in NorCal, we're going to have a group ride. It's posted on my Instagram and my Facebook, and there will be some raffle prizes and all kinds of stuff that we're doing to help raise money for Derek and his family. So do me a favor and either share those posts on Instagram and Facebook, or donate if you can, or show up for the ride, and we'll all do some high fives and spin some wheels and have a good time. So let me go ahead and bring Evan on and we'll get started. So, oh God, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Dude, it's been forever since we talked.
Yeah, I thought it was just short of 2 years, but I checked, it was January 9th, 2022.
Oh my God. We're like
Yeah.
clockwork almost 2 years later. So
Right?
that's awesome, man. Dude, so much has changed.
Dude, I'm glad you had me on because man, there a ton has changed. Like it changes so fast too, and you don't even really realize it.
Yeah. I mean, you were in a different state the last time we were talking.
Yeah, dude. Can you believe I freaking just up and moved to Bentonville?
What was the reason for that? Was it in conjunction with, at the time, I think you were quitting your job as well? Or was it just like, I think it looks better there for my family?
Oh man, it was just like it's hard to explain. Like my wife and I just kind of had this like this thing where it's almost like we just like went and then just did it. So
Yeah.
like I was getting close. So I had a goal if I could make on YouTube AdSense, if I could make 4,000 a month, then I would
Mhm.
quit my nursing job. And I
Uh-huh.
was I was getting there, and that's just AdSense. Like that's not just ads for like the 1 minute ad reads or whatever.
Mhm.
So I was getting close, and another baby was coming. He was born on August 9th. So it
Mhm.
was like 2-3 weeks before the baby was coming. I was going on paternity leave for like a week or two, and I was like, man, I was like, Ashley, do you want to move? And she's like, yeah. What do you think about Arkansas? And I was like, oh, well, let me recommend a little town I've heard of before. So in like 3 or 4 days after that, I flew to Bentonville. It was just like a 24-hour trip. I stayed overnight, rode some trails, and then I checked out some houses with a realtor. But the way it worked out is the housing market in Phoenix rose so rapidly. It was like the number one growing real estate market in the nation. So my
Uh-huh.
house value there rocketed up. Well, Arkansas is still a lot lower.
Mhm.
Bentonville is higher than most of Arkansas because it's kind of prissy and fancy
Yeah.
over here.
It's the bougie city in Arkansas, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, it just made sense. I had a lot of, equity in my house. I could sell that, have a little bit of a financial cushion and just go full time on YouTube. And at the same time, thinking about like kids and stuff, I don't know. Phoenix it's okay, but it is such a big city.
Mhm.
So I don't know. You just kind of feel like an ant in a colony,
Mhm.
and the schools there aren't so great. And I don't know. It just didn't really have like a homey vibe, even though we have family there. I don't
Yeah.
know. Just kind of I don't know. I'm from Northern California, the country, a little town called Ripon, California, 10,000 people.
Uh-huh.
So I'm from the country. I like this out here.
Yeah.
But the schools in Bentonville are like top notch. And it's funny
Mhm.
because people like talk about, oh yeah, Arkansas is, 49th in the nation for education. But Bentonville High is like number one in the nation. So
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't really make sense.
Right, right. That's the way it goes, right?
Yeah, I
Did you
don't know.
How'd you end up in Phoenix?
I went to nursing school there, so I went there in 2007 is when I moved to Phoenix. My mom was really pushing for me to be a nurse, and the wait list for being in nursing school was like crazy through community college and like Stockton and Modesto and everything. So we
Mhm.
found this program where it's like an associate's in nursing, 24 months, including prereqs. So just 24 months, boom, you're out of there. The only
Mhm.
problem is it was a private school and it costs a lot of money. It was like 50 grand at the time. I don't know what they're
Mhm.
charging now. So yeah, that's how I ended up in Phoenix. And then it just happened to be that there was a lot of BMX out there. So I moved back to NorCal, started my nursing career, and then I was like, screw this place. I went back to Phoenix and lived there for like 5-6 years.
Yeah. So you weren't doing much mountain biking when you were there?
In Phoenix or
Yeah.
uh,
Phoenix.
yeah, Phoenix, it's cool. So that's the thing about mountain biking is for me, I don't really like driving to go
Mhm.
mountain biking, and I don't know if I've ever even flown anywhere in like for a mountain bike trip. I
Yeah.
I don't know. I started mountain biking when I had kids, and now I have 4 kids, and,
Mhm.
I don't know. I just don't really like being away. I can't afford bringing the whole family to a trip yet, so,
Mhm.
whatever's local. It's like I just wanna maximize the fun on whatever's local. Um, like, if you're into, gaming, there's a thing called min-maxing. So,
Mhm.
um, minimal effort, maximum result, So, if my local trails are like a 6 out of 10 fun and the commute there is close, it's like, well, great. But if I have to drive, in Phoenix, I had to drive 45 minutes to get to South Mountain. Well, I don't know. Is it gonna be that
Yeah.
much more fun. And really South Mountain, it's fun, but it was like a 7 out of 10 fun, I guess.
So
maybe even.
you were a little bit far away from, were you like down like Maricopa or something like that? Or
No, I was a town called Goodyear. So Maricopa is closer to South Mountain than I was at. So
yeah, I was just trying to place like where you would be 45 minutes away. So you're like super far east compared to then South Mountain, probably, huh?
yeah, I was west, but yeah, the dude,
Oh,
freaking
okay.
Maricopa County just sprawls
Yeah,
huge for like 150 miles. It's
yeah,
crazy, dude. And when I moved there in 2007, there was like 1.8 million people in Maricopa County. When I left, there was 4.2 million.
yeah.
Just crazy growth, dude.
Yeah, I know. My buddy lives down there in like just south of Phoenix. And I just remember like his whole neighborhood of, let's just call it track homes, were like being bought up by all kinds of like Canadians and stuff like that. They'd be like, yeah, we just come down for the winter,
Yeah.
like stuff like that. So it was like it was definitely crazy the way that the boom was there. But I feel like weather wise, you're probably in a much better place now that you have like more of the year that you can probably actually use than, I know in summertime in Phoenix is just ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, the summertime is basically like my off season there. But
Right.
dude, I discovered here in Bentonville, I love winter riding. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just say it. I like riding in the winter here more than I do in the summertime. Like
Interesting.
I don't know, I freaking love it. Even though it's like 32 degrees, it's like
Uh-huh.
I don't care, man. I'll just layer up, and what I like most about it is, like, every ride is super different. So, it's
Uh-huh.
either raining, it's snowing, it's muddy, it's sloppy. I love it, dude.
You're a mess, dude. I do not like being cold. So, that's like, I'm such a fair weather rider. Like when I first started mountain biking back in high school, um, I grew up in Pennsylvania. Like we would go out in the snow and like all of that, and I didn't have any problem with it. And now I'm like, if it's in the 40s, I'm debating riding. If it gets low 40s, I'm like, if it's gonna warm up, maybe, you know. But if it's anything in the 30s, I'm like, yeah, forget it. I don't even care. I'm gonna go do something else.
Where do you live? Auburn, right?
I live in Sacramento.
Okay, Sacramento. Okay, so I was pretty close to there. I mean, yeah, the temperatures don't really drop that much there. I do remember 30 was very cold there.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's weird. It's like I have some base layers. So sometimes I'll do a heavyweight base layer, sometimes I'll do a lightweight base layer, sometimes I'll do both. But I'll warm up super fast. So it's just that I have the right gear for it. And yeah,
yeah.
I just start warming up and all of a sudden, like, I would say some rides are really cold to start, but 20 minutes in, you're like, whoa, I'm not cold at all. And
Yeah.
I feel like there's nothing limiting right now. So you can, for me, I get in like a flow state,
Hmm.
uh, like super fast. Where in the summertime, it's like the sweat's dripping down your face. It's always reminding you, like, oh, this is tough.
Yeah.
I just love it, man.
That's funny. I think for me that my hands and my feet get cold very easy. And I think that's from years of growing up with like cold weather injuries all the time, because I was a kid growing up in the snow, and that's what we did every chance we got, was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go outside in the snow and have snowball fight with my buddies for like 2 hours in sneakers, so
Oh yeah,
like the more times that you're like, you put yourself in these like frost nip kind of situations, or maybe, you know what I mean, like the less that or the more likely that you get those things, like they come a lot easier. And I think for me, that's partially where it comes from. So it's like I get out, and it's, if I don't have like some kind of like heater in my shoes, my toes will like instantly be like complete ice cubes. So
so is that the term frost nip? Is that is that when
I
you
think
just
that's like before frostbite. So it's like
okay?
the precursor before it gets bad. But yeah, just like, I guess what I'm getting at is just I, for whatever reason, my toes very quickly are like a no-go in the cold. And then um from there it's just I don't know. I hear you on like on the layers and stuff like that, because I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times where I'll make exceptions, and I'm out there and it's pretty cold, but it's definitely it's just I think it's like is it worth the extra pain in the ass to me to like deal with the cold versus doing something else that day? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I
Especially
so I just
go ahead.
built kind of like a fat bike almost. I put like
Mhm.
3-inch tires on. It was actually 26-inch wheels with 3-inch tires on one of my hardtails. And I took
Yeah,
that out in the snow, and it was a really like Arctic vortex, whatever they call it these days,
yeah,
and it was 1 degree and snowing quite a bit here in Bentonville. So I went with like all the warm weather or the cold weather gear that I had, and I used the gloves, like some insulated fox gloves. Well,
hmm,
first run, I drop in and the wind that was going through my gloves into my fingers, I I thought I had like frostbite. I didn't know
yeah,
frost nip was the thing. Like I definitely had a little bit of nerve damage that
yeah,
healed like it took like 2 weeks to heal, but my pinky was completely numb, but it was like on fire. And
yeah,
just several weeks after, like you could definitely tell the feeling was a little bit
yeah.
gone. It
I've
was
had a few
weird.
times from skiing too, where it took like a week or so to get the feeling back in my big toe or something like that. So it's
Yeah.
like I definitely have like pushed the limits way too far, way too many times. But at the end of the day, it is super fun, and I can totally understand what you're saying. So I think the other thing I was going to say too that makes me feel this way is where I live, those opportunities for it to be that cold are not very often. So it's really easy for me to be like, screw it. Whereas like if I lived it back home still and it was like, okay, I have months of this to deal with, then I would definitely be like, all right, I'm gonna figure this out. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
what kind of gear do you like? I know Tasco has these new cold weather gloves that I've worn a few times. I really like them.
Well, it's funny, you're mentioning you like your toes and your hands being cold. So I thought like, okay, I'm gonna get some like really good cold weather gloves, and Hand Up came to mind. I've never had any of their products and not sponsored or anything, but
Yeah, yeah.
they have like a bunch of different lineups of cold weather gloves. So I was like, okay, let's check that out. So I was like, okay, I want this like colder plus or whatever it says.
Hmm.
But it says like disclaimer, if your hands are cold, you need to warm your core. Like we really appreciate you wanting to buy our product, but you should warm your core first and then
Yeah,
see if you need these gloves. So I didn't end up buying their gloves. I just layered up more.
yeah.
so so yeah, the base layers I use, I use stuff by Fly Racing.
Hmm.
I think they make like lineups for like snowmobiling. They're
Hmm.
I think it's like snowmobiling base
Yeah,
layers. But I really wish that some brands will give you like a temperature rating, but these don't have that. But
yeah.
yeah, I just layer up like crazy, and then I just put on like motocross pants and a motocross jersey as my final external layer. And
Hmm.
then the gloves, like I mentioned, the Fox like thermal
Hmm.
gloves. And then sometimes I double up on socks. Now I did do a gravel ride that was 4 hours the other day, and it was 28 degrees.
Ugh.
And dude, I started losing feeling in my toes, like
That's tough
gradually.
because you're moving a lot faster. Like mountain biking, you don't get as much airflow except for like when you're going downhill. So I've noticed if I go out on a gravel ride and it's cold, I definitely wear way more clothing than I wear when I'm mountain biking.
Yeah, and you're not doing any like obstacles, so your mind is just like there in the present like little bubble, you know?
Just
So
thinking
that's
about how bad it sucks.
yeah, man. And I was wearing some Shimano shoes right here, some kind of older ones, but there's like a little window for ventilation, and that's what was getting to my pinky toe.
Yeah.
And it was bad, dude. I started to go into like survival mode. And the worst thing that happened was before my ride, I told my wife, like, oh, I'm gonna go on this super long ride, the longest gravel ride I've ever done. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, I have a feeling I'm gonna have to pick you up on this one, like,
Yeah.
drive the car and pick me up. And I was like, no, I can't. I got to prove her wrong. So I
So
was
there's
like,
two things you can get. Like they look like like toe tip kind of booties, and you just put them over the front of that shoe, and then it like has a hole in the bottom for your cleat to go through, and that'll block a lot of the wind. And then the other thing is like what I was talking about earlier. They have those little like packs that you just like it just gets hot. Like you open the package and you smash it,
Yeah,
and
toe
then it's like
warmer, hand warmer.
super flat though, and you just stick it right in the like toe
Oh,
area of your shoe, and then it's like it's not even like if you're holding it, it doesn't feel hot, but it's enough heat that inside of your shoe, it's like, ooh, it's kind of
how long does
toasty.
it last?
They last for a couple hours if I remember correctly.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I'll have to, man. Somebody in the
Dang.
chat, look it up on Amazon, throw a link in there or something.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to buy them by the box, and I would just buy a box and then use them whenever, especially whenever I'm doing like, because I used to commute to work and back like pretty much all year on my bike, and in the winter I would use those and just like because otherwise my toes would just be like, screw you, man.
That's
But
cool.
I think
I didn't know about that. That's cool.
you were talking about shirts with ratings too. I have an Under Armour shirt that it has a rating on it for temperature.
Oh.
And that thing is like when I bought it, it was like 50 degrees or less. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And every time I've ever worn that and it's more than 50 degrees, I'm like, yeah, this is way too hot. But it's
Yeah.
like it's really nice because it's like really tight, like almost feels like a Green Man suit from Sunny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I used to
Like
watch
but
that.
but it like holds all your heat in, but it like wicks all your sweat out, and it's phenomenal. Like even with like a day, unless it's windy, you know what I mean? Like that shirt I'll wear that shirt and just a t-shirt and be in like mid 40s and be fine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
That's pretty
crazy.
cool.
It's crazy. So, anyways, moving on. So, how you like in Bentonville, man? Like the riding is way different than Arizona.
Yeah, man, I have so many opinions on Bentonville, and I really like Bentonville, and I stick up for Bentonville because there's all these people that say like, oh yeah, Bentonville has no elevation, it's flat. And I really like BC POV, but he did a total hit piece on Bentonville like maybe 2 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and he was talking major shit on Bentonville, how it's flat, how you have to sprint full on for every single jump. So like, I don't know, I love Bentonville. I like sticking up for Bentonville, and
Yeah.
Bentonville's not flat.
You know, I rode Spider Mountain in Texas a few years ago. Went down there and met up with No Front Brakes.
Oh
And
yeah.
that is it's a lift assist park in Texas. And the elevation from top to bottom is like 350 feet elevation. So not much at all. I mean, I do in the summertime, I do rides out here on the regular that have 4,000 feet elevation loss. You know what I mean? So like 350 to me, I was expecting to go and be like, this is boring as fuck, you know? And I was really surprised, like with even 350 feet, like I had a lot of fun riding there all day long. So you don't need massive elevation to have fun mountain biking. You just don't.
Yeah. I figured out why Bentonville is so good. Just like as for a rider experience, it mimics social media. So you have like a 5 minute climb and then a fun like 45-second descent, and it's just that really quick dopamine dump that just like you can repeat over and over and over, and before you know it, you climbed freaking 1,200 feet in an hour.
Oh, that's cool. I see what you're saying. So it's no like big, long, like grueling kind of climbs then basically.
Yeah, it's like 6 minutes is like the longest climb, and then you get the 6 minute climb, you get a nice almost 2 minute descent. And they
Yeah.
really maximize the elevation. That's one thing I didn't like about Phoenix, and let's just say South Mountain, is there's going to be like a big drop in elevation, and then there's like kind of nothing to that. So it's just such a waste of elevation in my opinion. And
Mhm.
Bentonville, they have to utilize every single bit of elevation. And yeah, I think they must like put the trails into like an AutoCAD or like some sort of physics program, because everything is like, I think it's like calculated. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we got this turn, we got this slope, we got this jump, and it just works so well.
Yeah, I'm sure the builders there are on point. I listened to a podcast with Kyle from what was called Kyle and April's MTB or something like that, and
Yeah, Kyle Warner.
Kyle Warner, yeah, and he had like one of the main builder guys or
Yeah,
dude that
Gary Vernon.
yeah, he had him on that show, and it was really informative and like pretty interesting, like all the things that they do there.
Yeah, I listened to that one too, and yeah, you definitely see Gary riding like all the time. He's one of the heads of like the Walton Foundation or something like that. He's a real high up dude.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but that was definitely interesting. One thing that kind of sucks with Bentonville is they'll build like this really cool trail, and then maybe one person gets hurt, and then they tear it down and make it they dumb it down a little bit. But
Uh-huh.
as long as you can put up with that, then I mean it's
Yeah.
cool, dude. I lived here a year and like a half now, and the amount of new trails and just like revamping trails, it's just insane.
Yeah. I really want to get over there and ride. I've told this story a billion times on this channel, but like my wife used to go there all the time for work because she would do some stuff with Walmart. And
Mm.
like whenever she would explain it to me, she'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to this like podunk city out in middle Arkansas," and I'd be like, "All right, see ya," And
No.
and then all of a sudden, like Seth did that video, and that was like basically the first time I had seen that there was like trails there, and I was like, "Hey, can I go with you next time?" And she's like, "Yeah, I don't do that account anymore." I'm like,
Oh.
so we'll have to. I'd like to get over there though, and every year it seems like I have some other excuse on why not to go this time, but we'll see. Maybe it plays out this year. I think it's just everywhere I've ridden. Like I know you said you haven't been on any mountain bike trips, and before I started the channel, I never had either, and now that I've done it a few times, I'm like, it's really exciting to go somewhere and just try something new. And sometimes it's pretty easy just to like piggyback it onto other stuff that you're already doing. So like I went home last fall for unfortunately a funeral, but it was like brought my bike and I was able to like do a ride real quick and the one day, and it was like, dude, this is rad, and it cost me an extra bag fee, basically. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like it cost me much. So I don't know. It's fun always going somewhere new.
Yeah, so this year I want to get into racing. We've chatted a little bit online. I want to get into racing. So I was thinking about doing Sea Otter, but I don't know. I've had this credit card for like forever since I was in BMX days,
Hmm.
that I still use a United card. So I rack up like a ton of freaking miles. So like my Bentonville trip when I was scouting houses, that
Hmm.
flight was completely free just
Right.
because I use miles. So it's like, man, should I go to Sea Otter? But then I'm like, it's far. But yeah, I have a couple plans of getting out for sure.
I'll tell you this right now. If you're considering going to Sea Otter, I would not go to Sea Otter and buy the same flight coming out here and come like 2 months later when we can go up in the mountains and we could do some riding that would just be phenomenal compared to a race that's, in my opinion, not going to be exciting.
Yeah, you see some of the videos from like the XC race, and first of all, like it's mainly in like those ultra endurance categories, or
Hmm.
for XC, let's just call it a marathon.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's like I can't ride freaking 50 miles a single track in one day. Like, what? Oh man, I ride like 25 miles and I'm dead. So
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't do 50 miles. I'd have to do like the shorter category. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just telling you, I put the offer out there. I mean, if you want to go do Sea Otter, I'm not telling you not to. It's a cool event. It's there's it, it's almost a little overwhelming how many vendors are there. It's so big, and then you have the race on top of it as well. But like as far as Northern California riding goes, like the riding that's there in that area is um not super exciting compared to things that are even as close as 45 minutes away from there, so it really depends, I guess, on what you're looking for. I think if you're ultimately just really considering doing a race, I would just do something more local. But if you're thinking about flying out to California and spending a couple days away from your family, I could put together a couple of like epic days of riding that you would be like, wow, I'm so glad I did that. So
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, I love Reno. So I would love to visit like Reno and then come down and ride the freaking whatever hill range that is.
yeah, I mean, there's stuff right next to Reno there in Tahoe. So that's basically the area that I'd be pointing you at. And
Heck
like
yeah.
the area that's over there by where Everstoke is, there's a trail there that's super fun called Mills Peak. There's another one, and that's about, let's just call it 8 miles of downhill, and we'll usually shuttle lap that a couple of times. There's one that's called Mount Huff that has, at this point, 2 different routes that you can take down, and that's about a 11 or 12 mile downhill. And then there's also Downeyville, which is about 14 miles of downhill. So all in like this really small area. And you can actually, there's some people that do all 3 of those in one day.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
like a new little passion that I found of mine is hitting multiple trail systems in one ride. It's freaking
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the thing though that we both really want to talk about here is you were talking about training. So for potentially a race, what are you doing for training?
Um, so I mean, I used to train a lot for BMX. I was like a nationally ranked athlete. So I've had trainers and things like that before. And I just kind of eventually found out that it's not about like following a training program. This is for me, but it's more about just like listening to your body and just like taking it day by day. So I would
Mhm.
end up winning a race in BMX. It was like the national championship, if you will. It's called the Grand Nationals, the biggest race of the year. It's the finale. And just before that, like 2 months of training, I was just taking it day by day and just like, oh, I feel weak in this area. Let me train this way. And that's all I did.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm just kind of going with the flow, just kind of getting information online and just
Mhm.
going with it. Now, I am doing Zwift, and you did recommend the Dirt Destroyer,
Yeah.
and I signed up for it. I mean, you don't have to pay money to sign up, but
Yeah.
I have not done every single workout that it recommends because
Uh-huh.
some days I'm just like shoot, man, the weather's so good, I'll just get out and ride.
Mhm.
So I did a couple. I can't really remember. Maybe I can pull it up on my Strava. But I did one yesterday. It's called
Mhm.
6 Bombs to Drop. Are you
Oh,
familiar with that one?
that doesn't sound fun.
Oh, let me see. So
Throw it
it
up
was
on your
like a
screen.
uh
There you go.
so let's see. Can I
Let's get you over here. There you go.
Yeah, so it was this was like a warm up. It was like 250 watts for 30 seconds. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. And then it's like 3 minutes at 120 watts, which is, you know, it's
That's
kind of
just
high.
spinning.
But I mean, it starts burning a little bit. But then it went into this block where it's like 3 basically sprints, 2 minutes and 30 seconds of zone 5, and
Oh,
then
that's
2 minutes and 30 seconds of 70 watts, which is really nice, zone 1. And then it goes into 8 minutes of 190 watts, which is zone 3,
mhm.
straight into another 260 watt zone 5 for another 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So I did that last night, and
What's your FTP right now?
234.
Shoot. 234. Okay. So yeah, it's right around what mine is then. Yeah, that'll get you going, that's for sure.
Yeah, I got up to 170 heart rate at the end of those 2 minute, 30-second grinders. But I found out that if I stand up and do a lower cadence, I can grind out like a higher effort.
Yeah.
Have you ever experimented with that?
So this is what I've found out with that program in particular. First of all, you have to like stick with the rides that it asks you to do every week, or you're not going to see the gain the way that it's planned out to, and so like you don't have to do the unstructured rides, but like try to at least finish the ones that are recommended for the week. So like first week I think is like 3 rides. The second week it might even only be 2 rides. The third week might be 3 rides, and then I think it pumps up for like 2 weeks or so. But like really try to stay there on that. And then the other thing is like when it's not telling you a cadence, realistically, you want to be pedaling at like 85.
Yeah, that's
So
my
like,
natural cadence is like 85,
yeah.
90.
So for me, the very first time I did that thing, my natural cadence, because I've always been a mountain biker, you know, so my natural cadence has always been like 55 or 60.
Oh,
So
wow.
like they would be like, all right, because I'm one of those guys that just puts it in a like in a hard gear and just grinds, you know, instead of like I would hear other guys be like, yeah, just put an easier gear and spin faster. I'm like, you're high, dude. I ain't doing that, you know. And so the first time I did that, when it would tell me like go to 65, I'd be like, okay. And then it would be like, when it doesn't tell you to do anything, I'd be pedaling still probably around that. And it's actually like way harder. But as far as getting out of the saddle, most of the time, like to me, it's not very comfortable to be out of the saddle on the trainer. Like it just doesn't feel right. Like you have to like maybe I just haven't learned how to like adjust my body position right to make it feel right, but it just feels awkward to me. And I think also if you're reading the screen as it's telling you, it'll tell you a lot of times like try to stay in the seat because
Mm.
this like really puts focus into the muscle group that they're trying to do. But I think the other thing that I was getting at the beginning was whenever they're telling you, you know, do this ride, do this ride, do this ride, they're kind of setting you up where like, oh, we pushed you really hard on your fast twitch muscles this day,
Oh,
and
I
we're going to
saw
push
that
you really
yesterday.
hard on your low twitch muscles this day, and like maybe this other day they'll know that you're going to be like toasted, so they'll be like, do this one, and it's like just like a high cadence kind of ride with that, you know. And so I think it's important to kind of do it that way if you actually want to see the gains. Um, Otherwise, if you're just using it just to ride, like I guess it's probably not worth like doing the training plans. But I can tell you every time not every time. I mean, last time I did this training plan, at the end of the 6 weeks, I went out and crushed like every PR I had.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm expecting the same thing again. And I can tell even looking at like when I finish my rides now, it'll show like hey, this is what you did on this ride, but it'll show like hey, this is the amount of watts that you did on your best on this ride. And I know because I've only done this training plan once before that best is talking about at the end of the training plan. And I'm like looking at those, I was pushing 350 watts for 5 minutes. Like that's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
You know what I mean? And
Mm.
so like it's definitely it's a science they got figured out, you know.
Well, this one, back to basics, that was like an early on one. It was super cool because it was like 200 watts, but it was varying cadences. So it'd be like
Mm-hmm.
60 and then like 85. And I thought that was super interesting and I really liked it. Um,
Yeah.
just it's the same power, but one is pedaling slower and one's faster. And it was really interesting to like show that, hey, you can maintain that power. And my heart rate would go down when I was standing because I just kind of let the body weight kind of push
Yeah.
down the pedals. And yeah, that was really cool.
But I
Pretty
think
cool
when you're
program.
doing that, like you're not making your legs stronger by using the gravity that way. So
Yeah.
like that's you're kind of defeating the purpose is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of like picture like in a race scenario. Have you ever done an XC race?
No, I'm not a racer at all. But
Oh, yeah, they are just the pacing is crazy, and I bet like most people blow their wad in the first like 2 minutes. They
yeah,
just
yeah.
sprint in, like zone 20. So I'm just kinda like while I'm doing that, I'm kinda picturing like, oh, I'm trying to bridge the gap on a guy. I'm kinda standing up, but I don't wanna go too hard, and I don't know, it's
Yeah.
just fun.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying there. And it's yeah. I totally understand what you're getting. I mean, a lot of times I'll be on those some of those like sections of Zwift where it's like do this for 5 minutes, and I just picture some like really shitty climb that I'm used to doing all the time. I'm like, okay, this is gonna feel like that for that amount of time, and then it'll be like, all right, now your cadence goes way up, and I'll be like, okay, this is the flat spot where I'm like trying to catch up to my buddy that always gets away from me on the
Yeah.
like the climby spot, or something like that. So I just kind of
Yeah, I
picture
really
those.
think that, like, it's just such a bummer in mountain biking that a lot of people don't really talk about training, and, like, compare it to road biking, they all, like, know their FTPs and, keep it pretty serious with, structured plans and stuff like that, but mountain bikers, I know it's kind of the nature, just like, "Oh, I'll just go have fun on my bike," but it's like, if they only knew a little bit about training, their rides would be so much freaking better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the thing that I took out of Zwift last year that really changed my riding for the entire year was understanding like how much that cadence changes like how hard or how easy something is. And like
Yeah.
what you were just saying earlier, like to me, before, if I would be like trudging up some hill at unknowingly 65 cadence or 50 cadence, I didn't know if I just spun my legs faster, it would actually feel better. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like in my head, it would be like, that's crazy. That's just gonna suck more, and it's like that's the one thing where I noticed that, like, oh wow, if I just like lean in and try to like get a little bit faster, it actually becomes easier to pedal.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's like, so I see so many people, like, there's a lot of visitors here, and, like, when you go out on a ride, you see probably 10, 20 people here. So it's
Mhm.
like I see these people that are going, I mean, I'm doing, like, a zone 2 ride, right? Well, they're passing me going really fast up a hill, and you can tell they're not, very experienced. Like,
Mhm.
you like, you once you get into cycling for a while, you can just kinda look at somebody, they're not even rolling on their bike, but just, like,
Yeah.
you can look at somebody and just kinda know, like, if
Yeah.
they're new or not, and these people are just flying up the hill. I mean, they could be, like, marathon athletes and just, really fit, or they could be just going too hard up a climb in, like, zone 6, their heart rates are
Mhm.
pinged out, and then, they have fun, they ride, like, an hour or 2 hours, like, you can last, but then it takes them, like, a week to recover from that ride, or maybe 2
Yeah.
weeks, so, really, they're only riding, like, twice a month, and if they knew, like, zones and everything, they could, pace themselves and, not be so tired after their ride and then ride the
Yeah.
next day, and a lot of mountain
Yeah.
bikers, they just ride twice a month and that's it, really.
Yeah. And I've had that experience just even with friends that we would go out, and I have a a very good endurance. So we would go out for maybe like a 3 or 4 hour ride, and these guys would just be smoking me up the hill at the beginning. But like closer to the end of the ride, then they'd be like their legs are cramping, they're like falling out. And I'm like, dude, we can go do another lap. Like I'm fine. But it's like that pacing, I think, is something that it takes a while to learn that though, too.
Yeah, it's like I wanna, well, like I said about Bentonville and the dopamine thing, it's like, I know that that trail is right there, like, if I just pedal faster, I can get there faster, but man, sometimes I'll just be going, like, 2 miles an hour up a hill because my heart rate, I'm trying to keep it below 150, and even last year, like, I could never get my heart rate below 150 while riding, ever,
Mhm.
and,
Really?
now that I'm
Oh,
getting
wow.
more fit and everything, like, I can go 120 heart rate up a hill, going about the same speed as before. So, yeah, I think people just wanna rush and hurry and go ride that next trail, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm on my gravel bike, I can ride like a 30-mile ride from my house and barely get out of the 120s. Like if I am out of the
That's cool.
120s in my heart rate, like I am like smashing. But on the mountain bike, on the other hand, like I would say I probably sit in the 145 area for most of the ride. And if it's like a really steep, like punchy uphill, then I might pop into the 160s. But if I hit 170 and I look down at my Garmin and it says 170, I'm like, oh, I'm in the danger zone,
Well,
dude.
it's funny now that I've, like, transitioned my heart rate, now if I get into the 150s, I'm like, "Okay," like, "What?" And I look down 150s, I'm like, "What? I used to do this all the time." So
Right?
now I'm
You're like,
becoming
how did
kinda
I
like
do that?
a chicken or something, I don't
Yeah, yeah.
know.
Yeah, it's interesting. They say your heart rate also goes down the older you get too. So, like, I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah,
But
I'm 34 now. I'm getting up there,
dude,
man.
getting up there, man.
I
So,
asked Seth how old he was. I thought he was like maybe 36. He's like, "Oh, I'm 38." I was like, "Whoa,
who did you
we
say?
are Seth
Oh yeah,
Alvo Burn Peak."
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, "Whoa, man, like shoot."
Fucking old man, huh?
We're gonna be like all the main YouTubers are gonna be in their 40s soon, like I'm hoping that we get some more young talent coming up.
Yeah,
It seems
I
like
think
most
that
YouTubers like 30 plus,
it seems like that's like the time that maybe the how do I say this without
I
it
have an
coming off?
opinion about it.
I think it's like it takes you that long to like have um the maturity to want to like do the grind. Like as a young 20 something, it's like, dude, it's a lot of work to run a channel, you know?
Well, I also think for men, they say your brain is still in development, like clear in like late 20s.
Yeah.
So I
Early
think that
60s, I think. Yeah.
yeah, I I think that we're kind of still solidifying our beliefs in ourselves and like who we are. And
Hmm.
then, right when you're about 30, then it's like, okay, I know who I am, I know my limitations, and then you can handle the online negativity and stuff like that too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it could be that. I think, in your 20s, it's just a lot easier to like go chase girls and party too than it is to like spend all your free time making a YouTube channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I lived a really disciplined 20s because like I think I was like 22, and then I got back into BMX racing like hardcore because I mean I was a nurse at 20, and then I was like okay, nursing's fun and everything, like making good money, but it's like I still need a hobby. So I got back into BMX, and then I did BMX hardcore like on the national circuit from 22 to 28.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was pretty disciplined in my my 20s.
Yeah. So, do you feel like you're writing a lot more now that you're in Bentonville because of that? Or do you think that this would
Oh
have
yeah.
happened even if you stayed in Phoenix and you quit your job?
Um, yeah, I don't know. So back to the whole Bentonville is flat thing, right? Well, Phoenix doesn't get that flack, like, oh, Phoenix is flat. Well, Phoenix has this big gigantic valley, but the trails do not go to the top of the hills. No trail does that except South Mountain, which is it's not that tall of a hill.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember the elevation. I think it was like maybe 500 feet. It was not that tall of a mountain, as they call it.
Yeah.
So it's like if I compare my rides Phoenix to here, I'm doing the same amount of moving time or like moving distance, say 10 miles, and it's still like
Hmm.
1,000 feet of elevation gain. So I don't know. The riding out there was not that fun, and the trails were not maintained. And a lot of people were saying like before I moved, even they're like, yeah, we thought you sucked at mountain biking. It's like, dude, I was riding on freaking gravel that was this thick. It was like 3 inches thick. Like you could not like lean your bike or else you were washing your front end. So you
Yeah.
had to be so timid while riding there. Um, and
I
yeah,
pulled I pulled up some of my South Mountain rides on Strava, and it looks like I was getting about 1,500 feet of elevation in a 10-mile ride there.
okay,
So, but
sweet.
I'm trying to see if it's like, if I just click one of these that says national and just do like national and see how much elevation loss is on that. Because that's one of the, yeah, even that's still not showing much. Yeah, I get what you say. I mean, was Halls there whenever you lived out there?
Yeah, Haas was East Valley, so it was even further than South Mountain. But it was funny because South Mountain, like you had to go south for a little while, but Haas was maybe 5 minutes, even though it was like it seemed way further out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did do Haas, and and I was enjoying that, but I just really don't like driving over 30 minutes to go ride,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, you're
Um,
definitely in the right spot for it now then.
yeah, so I got a house that's I can drive. So the trail systems here are Kohler and Slaughter Pen, and there's another one called Hand Cut. Oh, Kohler is the one that dropped the hammer. Are you familiar with that drop?
Not by the name. I'm sure I've seen it a million times, but like
It's a
just
it's
by
a 12-foot drop off a metal grate. It's really
uh-huh.
cool.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I think I know which one you're talking about.
yeah, so I can drive from my house to there in 5 minutes,
Uh-huh.
but the only problem there is they they close it down. It's privately owned, so they
Uh-huh.
close it down. Any kind of moisture on the ground, they close it down. They don't want to redo the flow trails and everything. But Slaughter Pen is city owned, so I don't even think they're allowed to close it down. So that one's 15 minutes from my door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
yeah, man.
everything that I'd ride is at least 30 minutes away from my house as far as mountain biking goes. And then a lot of the time, like the stuff that I'm riding in the summertime up in the Tahoe is like some of those rides are 2 hours away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I've even done like, I mean, if I go to Santa Cruz, that's almost a 3 hour drive and like go down there, ride all day and drive back. Sometimes if I go down there, I usually stay with one of my buddies down there for the night or something like that and then come back the next day. But yeah, definitely a lot of driving here for me to ride. But that's also by, my own decisions as well. I mean, at this point, I'm in a different stage of life than you are. Like when my kids were young, like yours are, I definitely wasn't like going out as much. But I mean, at this point, I'm 46. My kids are all grown up. And my daughter's going to be a senior in college next year. My son's out with like was in the military and now, so
Wow.
like, um, I'm like, it's just me and my wife. So as far as like what we're doing, it's like the only thing we got to worry about is our dog, you know.
Yeah.
So, and fortunately, like we have things that we do together, but then she also knows like this is like the thing that I like to do. So it's like sometimes she rides with me, but other times she's like, cool, I'm gonna go, you know, do whatever with my girlfriend, and you can go play bikes all day, and we'll see each other later.
It's funny in with XC racing, they have age brackets. Well, there would be a bunch of people like teenagers, and then the 20s start kind of dying off, and the 30 to 39 class is very small. And then in
Yeah,
the 40-year-old classes, it's like 50, 60 riders and
yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So it just perfectly mimics just like life and the progression and everything. So
Yeah, yeah. In those 30s, man, you got those young kids, dude. It's like, oh man. When I had young kids, I remember I would get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and go ride so I could be like go do a big ride and be home by like 10:30 or something like that, you know?
yeah, for me, it's like Zwift is awesome because I put him to bed at 8, and then I can hop on the trainer. Well, actually, so that oh man, I got a pet peeve with Zwift. So I got the Zwift Hub One.
Okay.
Are you using the Zwift trainer?
No, I have a different one, but that is actually the trainer that I recommend to people all the time because it's like really priced well.
Yeah, yeah. I thought they were like $1,000, and then I saw it
Yeah.
was like 600. I was like, heck yeah, and a year of Zwift membership
Yeah.
with it.
And it
Um,
comes with the cassette too, which a lot of them don't for the price. So like,
Yeah, I got the one with the virtual shiftings, and I kind of like that. Um, but I think that there should be profiles. Like my wife hops on my bike on the trainer and everything, and I wish I could, say it was her riding and then log her miles and upload to her Strava. But you can't do that. You have to make a new account and pay the extra
yeah.
money. I'm like, what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fuck, dude? That's
Maybe if they had
bullshit.
like a family plan or something like that, then you would have that ability where you pay a little bit extra or something.
Oh man, it's like we're using the same bike, so I don't submit it to Strava, but it counts towards my Zwift points.
Yeah, there you go. We get all this. You can spend all your what is it? Sweat drops in the garage,
Yeah,
right? So, yeah, my biggest complaint with Zwift is I just want to punch the guy that wrote the like things on the screen that it says to me during training, where it's like I like I'm like dying, right? And it'll be like, this should feel pretty good to you right now. And I'll be like, fuck you. You know, like, I want to punch you in the face right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I got that yesterday. So like zone 5 was calling for me to do like 260 watts. But
yeah,
like I was a sprinter before. So like on the Zwift free ride, I was like dicking around. I was like, I wonder what I can sprint up to. I can hit
yeah,
1200 watts on that thing.
that's
Um,
crazy.
so I don't know that the 260 watts didn't really feel that same message came up. It was like, this should be feeling pretty good right now. And it kind of did, but it's like I can go higher on those like
Yeah.
zone things. And the virtual shifting thing is cool because you can like control the difficulty. I don't
Mhm.
know if you have that on yours.
I
Um,
don't use because I use just the training programs, the machine is changing its intensity for me all the time. Like I never change gears at all.
Yeah, well, I'm saying like it'll change the intensity, but you can say like say it's like it's time to do another big effort. You can like on the Zwift button thing, you can say like no, push it down a little bit. Like I don't want to do 300 watts and like decrease the intensity, so you still get the
Yeah, I think
star.
I can yeah, you can do that with the like the
The
percentage. It's
the
like
app, right? You can okay, you
yeah,
can still do it. Okay.
yeah, and like I'm actually usually like almost exactly where I'm sitting is where my trainer sits, and then this TV that I'm looking at is just pushed back a little bit more. And so I'll have well, you can use the Zwift companion app, and that'll have a spot on it where you can just touch it and then change the intensity. And then also like I usually have my mouse just sitting here because that's how I just like click through shit on the screen if I need to.
Yeah, I need to get a wireless mouse. That's the
Yeah.
setup right there.
But for Zwift, you can put that Zwift companion on your phone. And then I have like I actually like I don't know if you have an iPhone or not, but the iPhone has that like magnet thing in it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
have one on my phone. I got the little
yeah, exactly. So I like printed a magnet kind of situation so that I could put it on a Garmin mount. And so that I could just stick my phone on the Garmin mount because
nice.
it's not something you would buy normally because this would just fall off if you were actually riding bike. But like for Zwift, it's nice because then it's like right there and I can have the companion app up. And then like if I want to pick it up or like, you know, some of the spots where you're just like chilling, keeping a cadence, maybe I'll text one of my buddies or something like that, you know, but
Yeah.
it's nice to have it like that. And uh but like I said, like with that the training program, basically I'm stuck to do whatever it says to do unless I was to change that. I am purposely not trying to do that because I want to like as bad as it can suck, I want to get it like as much of the gain as I can out of the program. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Sometimes I'll make a custom workout
mhm.
and I can kind of like see what one program is, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not really feeling a freaking 7 minute, zone 3 burn right here. So then I can just kind of
Yeah.
make my own custom thing.
So you can also do you have a Garmin?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I have
I
a
was gonna say
Hammerhead Karoo too.
because Garmin has some like training programs on it too, and you can link that up to your smart trainer, and it'll like do sort of like Zwift does. You just don't have a screen to look at, you know?
Yeah, it's weird. So like now that I don't have, or, I'm not a nurse anymore. I'm a full time YouTuber. It's weird, man. Like it's it's a different feeling with things because you don't have like a guaranteed paycheck,
Hmm.
week or every 2 weeks or whatever. So like and especially with the ads, like I don't have guaranteed ads. I have like 3 planned for February, but I think I have 1 for March, so it's not like guaranteed there either. Like you're hoping an ad offer comes in. So now it's like I got to stay really lean
Yeah,
and not spend like hardly any money. I would
yeah,
love
yeah,
like a phone mount for my bars on the trainer bike, but I'm like, oh man, I freaking like I'm just so sick of spending money.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. The secret there is to buy a 3D printer and then you can print all this shit yourself, dude.
Dude, okay, so a couple of years ago, like you were getting really into 3D printing, and I was like, okay, that's like a cool hobby. I don't really ever see like a need for that, but now more than ever, like I'm seeing it. And someone they're sharing clips of of the like this little bleed block thing that goes in your caliper, but then you can squirt out, like you can push out only one piston at a time, right? And then you clean your piston. I've had to do that before. And someone's like, "Hey, can you pass me the 3D printing file?" And they're like, "No, you can buy it from us though." But like that's where 3D printing comes in handy. It's like a nifty little tool like that. You just boom, print it up, you know?
I'll tell you, you get a 3D printer and you look at the world in a whole different way. Like everything that you do, like so many problems that I solve with something that I print. Like even this let's just call it this tripod that I have my webcam on in front of me right now.
Yeah.
Like I wanted it at a certain height, and so that it like is exactly like where I want it pointing at. So it's actually kind of like, because I'm using a TV screen. So this thing's like a 40-inch TV, right? So if I put the camera up at the top of the TV, it's just gonna be looking like I'm gonna be looking down the whole time, right? So I have this in front of me, but I could just print what I needed to like put this exactly at the height that I wanted. And then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, and yeah, there's so many things around my house that it's you just solve problems all the time by like, oh, I can print that, you know.
Yeah.
Some of them are stupid and completely meaningless, like I printed this hat for my Ring camera. But on the other hand, some of them are like super useful, you know, like a Garmin mount for, or I'm sorry, a GoPro mount for your chin bar on your full face. Like you can
Oh
just print
yeah. There's a couple Instagram pages or companies or whatever.
that.
I think they're doing pretty good because that's all they do is they just print chin mounts all the time. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And some of that stuff, it's like you just you take the time to initially design. Like I designed uh a mount for my handlebars that holds the DJI remote for my drone.
Mm.
So I can like basically just have the remote on my handlebars and then ride, and then I don't have to like if the drone stops following me or something like that, I got the remote right there. It's not like I can like put the drone somewhere and have to ride under it and then go back to where my remote is. It's like, no, I can just fly it back over there now. You
Yeah.
know,
Which drone do you have from DJI?
I just bought the new Mini, whatever it is. I think the Mini 4.
Okay, yeah, I had that one too, and once the leaves fell, the obstacle avoidance was completely gone,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, I just kept running into sticks, and then it broke, and then I was still in the return window, so I just returned.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they have that warranty program too that's kind of like you can mess it up as many times as you want for an extra whatever amount.
Yeah, I should have done that. Like, I think I was past the time that I could have done that.
Yeah.
But I really liked the drone. It was cool, flying around and using those shots for the channel and everything. I still might, but it's like I've done a couple ads for DJI, and I really like their action camera. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be like a paid shill. Like, I freaking love it, dude. See, do I have it right here?
I haven't used it yet. I'd be interested to try it. I've seen some pretty good reviews on it and like other guys that are talking about it. You really like it though.
Dude, it is amazing. Oh, look. So I had to buy this. It's a cold shoe mount for the microphone, but
Yeah.
I bought it off Etsy. It's totally 3D printed. Oh,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I bet you could print that.
yeah. Yeah, it's totally 3D printed, but I bought two of them for $6. So pretty good price. But it
Yeah, you
works
know
like
how much that would
amazing.
cost you to print if it was your own? Like you designed that?
3 cents maybe.
Probably like 10 cents, dude. Like
Oh wow. That's
yeah, yeah.
cool. But yeah, the DJI action camera, it's way better than GoPro. I love harping on GoPro because GoPro, like, it's one of those things with like TVs in stores. People will always pick the TV that's more saturated, the
Mhm.
most vibrant colors, despite like it being like not great specs, I guess.
Yeah.
So like GoPro, if you compare these two together, this has a super wide field of view, and I love it because it's like really natural. Whereas the
Mhm.
GoPro, you can run the GoPro Max, and then even then, I don't think it even gets to 155 degrees field of
Mhm.
view. Um, so yeah, I freaking love this thing.
How's the stabilization? That's the thing for me that that it always is the make or
Yeah,
break.
Yeah, I would say just as good as the GoPro. Yeah, right on par. I mean, they're getting so good at stabilizing this, and I don't
They
even
just
use.
recently upgraded that too. Like that, I want to say that's a new model, right?
Yeah, I don't think it got like that much in upgrades. I think maybe the sensor got a little bit better, so like you can tell in low light it helps. Um, but I don't. I mean, the only time I ever ride really is like 11 a.m. That's my
Mhm.
jam, you know. So it's like I don't have to deal with low light really. But that I want to talk about that. So it's like I was from Phoenix. I didn't have shade when I was riding here in Bentonville, riding in the woods with like filtered sunlight and like heavy shade and everything. Dude, vision here is like a big problem.
Yeah, it's way different.
Yeah, it's like your eyes have to adjust all the time, and sometimes like I, I feel like I can't really see that well, and I'm just kind of going by feeling basically.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And it's just as bad as a creator too, because like out in Phoenix, like your camera's just like all the light all the time. So it's
Yeah,
like every
ND
shot just
filter
looks
that thing, you know.
beautiful, right? And
Yeah,
it's like you come into the woods and it's like the sensor's trying to deal with, oh, it's dark. And then for a half a second, it's bright as hell. And then it's
yeah,
like, and it'll be like little spots on the ground and like you'll get it perfect. It looks great. And then it's like these little light spots look like they're just blown out the shot or so.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
gonna shoot a short yesterday. I was taking pictures of my bikes, and the lighting was just so terrible because it was really bright out, but there's no leaves, but there's a lot of trees, so it's just so bad. And I was like trying to set up the short, and I was like, dude, fuck it, I'll do it another day. And today would
Yeah.
have been good. It was like super cloudy, and in the summertime when I was like filming for the channel, I had to basically plan my day around the forecast and go, okay, I'm like, oh, it's going to be cloudy on Tuesday. I'm gonna have the bike ready by Tuesday, and
Yeah.
it was weird.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it's a little different there. How do you decide what content that you're doing? I know you do a lot of stuff where you're rebuilding bikes or building bikes and um it seems like now that maybe you're in more of an easier place for you to ride that you're touching on a little bit more riding type content as well.
Yeah, kind of, sorta. So, I made the second channel. Sorry, I got a burp.
Oh,
I
it's all
made
right.
this. I made the second channel dedicated to training, posting 5 days a week, and that was good. I got like 1,000 subscribers on that. Nothing like crazy.
Hmm.
But the views didn't really take off. Like hitting like 1,000 views and stuff like that. And I don't know. It's tough. Like some days I would post a video and it'd be like 0 comments. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit, man. Like that's the best thing about making videos is the comments.
Yeah.
I don't really care so much about the views. It's like the comments are big for me. I like hearing what people have to say. So it just kind of reminded me like, hey, like that's what your channel is, you building bikes. So now more than ever, I'm like, I'm just gonna build build bikes and keep making fun bike builds and everything. And you can even I finished one today. You can see it in the shot there.
Yeah, I can see
Um,
something back there. Good thing you got a little
yeah,
GoPro. Can't see exactly what it is.
yeah. I shared it to Instagram. It's 120 millimeter travel bike, but I put a coil on it front and rear.
Oh, nice.
It's just so weird, but it's like I don't care, man. Like I just want to have fun with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
It
just gonna
seems
stick to
like you
bike
found a
builds.
good niche though. I mean, honestly, like your channel is at what, like well over 100,000 now, right?
Yeah, 138K. Um, and like so a lot of YouTubers they'll be in like this big rush to hit 100,000 subscribers and then okay, it's time to hit 1 million subscribers. But I didn't really have like any kind of feeling when I hit 100,000 subscribers. It didn't really feel like anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, and part of that is because of shorts. It's like people can get all these subscribers from shorts, and I post shorts too. And I would say if I didn't post shorts, I would probably be at like 60,000 subscribers still. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like cheating the system. And in
Yeah.
fact, subscribers like they don't even matter anymore. It's kind of
Yeah.
a bummer.
They don't, honestly, they don't really um they don't matter as much as they used to. But I think for me, um, it just feels good to me. that number, regardless of where they came from. You know what I mean? Like it is, like you said, the comments really motivate you, and I like the comments too. Like honestly, I really enjoy the community, but that subscriber number, it just makes you feel like somebody took that extra like moment where they're like, yeah, I want to see this person's stuff like more, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
And
mean, as
it's
far
like,
as like, go ahead.
well, I wish I like didn't really post shorts. I mean, I'm probably still gonna keep posting shorts because I already kind of ruined it. But I would love to just I don't really like shorts. I don't enjoy making them that much. And
Then don't do it.
yeah, it is nice to like go, okay, my views are at 3 million this month, and
Yeah,
probably 60% of those are shorts. Um, so that's nice, and that helps with like advertising and things like
yeah.
that. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
necessary
easier to
now.
pitch that way. But I mean,
Yeah.
it like I was having this conversation with another one of our fellow creators on Slack recently, and where like I think that you can make the pitch to your advertising people whichever way you want. And if you're not getting as many views, like you can say, oh, well, these are all from like longer form content, which I have a better relationship with these people. So they're more engaged to, like be interested in the products that I'm showing. Whereas like, yeah, you may get like, 1 million views on this short, but like how much interaction do you get with that person? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is 1 million views really like worth 1 million views on long form? Like, I don't think it's the same, you know?
Oh
It could
yeah,
be
long
10,000.
form would be crazy to hit 1 million.
Right. I mean, you, as far like AdSense wise, you'd be making like bank on 1 million views. But I mean, like even talking about like engagement,
I have
like,
one with 1 million views. Let me find it. I'll tell you how much I made on it. It's not as much as you think. Okay,
yeah.
let's take some guesses. Maybe chat if you want to take some guesses. I have a video with 1 million views
So a long form
from
video.
long form video. Okay, I found it here. It's almost 1.1 million views now.
Do you
It's
have it set to like put the ads wherever it wants, or did you choose where the ads were?
I did. I did. I am hearing that you can set it to like every 2 minutes or whatever, and then
I just let it do whatever it wants to do.
yeah, that's what I do too. But some people like set it to every 2 minutes, but not everybody will see an ad every 2 minutes if you do that.
Yeah.
It's based on their browsing patterns or whatever.
So I would guess that you made at least $10,000 on that video.
I mean, that's a good guess. That would be really nice. So, let me
Really?
go like this.
Oh,
There
look
we
at this.
go.
He's sharing it again. All right. I'm gonna have to explain this for people that are
Okay, so here's the video. $300 drivetrain versus $1,000 X61 Axis. 1.1 million views, 72,000 hours of watch time. I got 5,000 subscribers off it, and only $2,185
I wonder
made from
why
this
it's so
video.
low. I feel like I wonder if it like has to do with like the genre of the video and then what type of ads that they're pushing into it.
Yeah, so this is a big number is CPM. So $6.21, which is really low. Now I'm getting more towards like 15 or something like that.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
don't know.
So was your channel like pretty small when that happened or something?
Yeah, I was at maybe 25,000 subscribers, I'd say.
Interesting. I'm really surprised that it's that low.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely, I mean, you can search the internet and find other people talking about, similar videos and be like the same amount of views, but maybe they're in like beauty space or something like that, or tech space, and they're like, yeah, I made $25,000, and you're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
man, mountain biking is I don't know. It's in a weird space and brands like the mega brands like Trek and Specialized, like I guarantee they don't pay for ads on YouTube, like the pre-roll ads and stuff like that. Where they really should, So it's brands that are unrelated to mountain biking, so it's like they don't want to pay, you know, big CPMs for a mountain bike video to advertise for like Wells Fargo or whatever.
yeah. I don't understand why they pay the money for the like Facebook kind of ads, because you see it there all the time, and not the YouTube stuff. Because to
Yeah,
me, I feel like
oh
the
man.
YouTube market is like a better market to saturate with your ads than Facebook. That's just my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
Well, there's so many Facebook ads and like the targeting ads, like they got to pay a lot of money to like reach the people,
Yeah.
because so many companies are doing it. But it's like the companies, like bike companies, they love the Instagrammers, like, oh, he got 100,000 Instagram followers. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna fall all over you. But if you say like, I have 100,000 YouTube, they're like, what's YouTube? Like they don't give a shit about me, and I
Yeah.
have a hard time convincing brands like, hey, send me this, send me that. It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I think it's some of it's probably approach, and some of it I think is companies aren't when you're saying companies, are you talking about like bike related companies?
Yeah, yeah. Like I would love to work with Crank Brothers.
Hmm.
I reached out to them recently. I got a big project I'm working on again. It's a season 2. If
Hmm.
people watch my stuff, they'll know. But I made like this whole 5-page proposal thing. I really put a lot of effort into it, like aimed specifically at Crank Brothers, and I have the marketing person's email, and I've sent 2 emails, and it's like no response. So it's like,
Yeah.
shit, man. And this 1 million view video is a part of that project. So for me going like, oh, look, I'm working on a project. I have videos with 1 million views in that project. Like, let's work together. I'm not
Hmm.
asking for money from them. I would just like some product. But yeah, no response.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the company itself, and sometimes it's just, the other thing I notice, at least with the bike industry, is that they are not efficient at answering emails pretty much across the board.
Yeah.
Like there's very few companies that I can like ping an email to and they get back to me like in a couple hours, where like my
Yeah.
normal day job is like, dude, if I send an email to somebody and they don't answer me the same day, I'm like, WTF, right?
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of the bike industry, like, you could ask somebody a question and it's easily 2 weeks and you'll get an answer.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I would also say go to events where they're at, and
Yeah.
it helps that I live close to Sea Otter. But like I go to Sedona every year. Like you could go to the Bentonville Bike Fest every year, and like
Oh, Bike Fest
you'll
was dope, dude. I freaking love
you'll
that.
you'll get to talk to those people more and more. And after they see you a few times, like there's some of these guys that I've been asking to be on the podcast, and it's like they've seen me, they know me. When I'm walking up, they're like, here he comes again, like,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, dude, here you are. But it's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna come by every year. And it's been 5 years you've been seeing me. Eventually you're gonna break down. You're just gonna be like, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
But
Onyx Hubs?
yeah.
Yeah, so they were at, Bike Fest, and the main marketing guy, I had emails with him, and he sent me, some hubs before we had, like, met face to face, but, we ended up chatting, and, I was one of, like, the very first customers of Onyx Hubs
Oh wow.
back in, like, 2013.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
and then we were talking, and the guy used to be Sam Willoughby's mechanic, and Sam Willoughby what used to be a number 1 BMX pro. Like he was the top in the world.
Yeah.
And we just talked for basically like an hour and a half, just shooting the shit about BMX, because like all the big races that Sam Willoughby was winning, I was at racing amateur at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, just putting a face to a marketing person. you
And
know
that's the thing that I'm talking about, is like the more that you do that, the more that you'll you'll become part of the industry instead of like a guy that's talking about the industry.
Yeah.
And it just takes time to build those relationships, and stuff like that. But um it definitely happens. And then things like, it's because the industry's small, like I did a video on an i9 hub when I first started my channel, and that thing got like a bunch of views. And later on down the road, that marketing guy was actually at Revel whenever I'd like sent them an email about something, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember you because I was at I-9 and you did this video." And I never even like reached out to them or anything. They just saw it because it was getting a shit ton of views. You know what I mean? So that happens too, is I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh,
People
that
move
reminds
around.
me. Have you had any experience with Bird Spokes? Have you interviewed anybody from Bird Spokes or anything?
Yeah, I've had them on twice. I actually have a set of their wheels that I've been riding. I need to do a video on it. I had a an idea of what I was going to do, and now I need to come up with something else because I don't think that video idea is going to work.
Okay. Yeah, they're super cool with socials and even like somebody that they've never heard of, like they'll take time and like listen to you and everything. And yeah, they sent me some of their spokes. I built up a custom wheel set, and that video got like 500,000 views.
Oh
It's
wow,
freaking
dude, that's
crazy.
awesome.
And dude, for the listeners right now, if you are on the fence about Bird Spokes, I know they're expensive. Dude, they are freaking amazing. The
Yeah.
ride quality, like every ride I have on Bird Spokes, I don't regret, getting these wheels, and it's
Mhm.
just so like compliant and so good, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
love it.
have them on my like 170 bike right now, and I think because that bike already has so much suspension, it's really hard for me to tell. And my
Hmm.
plan was to do a video on my hardtail with it. So,
Yeah, hardtail.
yeah. Yeah, and I just have to figure out how I'm going to do that because um yeah, I just got to figure it out. Long story short, yeah, that's I because I'm riding Fazari this year. I'm not sure how. I don't have a hardtail from them, so I'm not sure like how I can go about it. So
Do they make a hardtail?
yeah, they do. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
so like I have really close ties with Polygon and Bikes Online, and
Hmm.
I don't have like an exclusivity thing, but
Hmm.
like sometimes I say like hey, like send me this bike. They're like, "Oh, we don't have the budget." I'm like, "Just send it to me as a demo or something,"
Yeah,
or I would spend money on a bike from them, just cuz like I want to keep that relationship really good. So
yeah,
sometimes it's like, "All right, give me a discount, something."
yeah, 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 yeah. Totally. So I like them, and they definitely they're definitely lighter, like without a doubt they're way lighter than my traditional wheels, but I did get a bunch of PRs on my bike whenever I switched to those wheels, but I think it's because those are 29ers and my old wheel set that I took off was a mullet wheel set. But yeah, I also like really wanted to put them like through a lot of riding before I went and started talking about how I felt about them, because it's just so easy to like come up with a short term opinion, but it not actually be like how you feel like a month later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I have 0 negative thoughts on them at all, and
Yeah.
and they're still, like, tight and everything, and I don't know, man, it's it's just awesome.
Yeah, I don't
Like
have anything negative to say at this. I mean, the only negative thing I could say is the price. You know what I mean? Like, to
yeah.
be realistic. But as far as performance goes or any of that stuff, like I've definitely put them through the ringer, and they're still true as hell, and like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, for the listeners out there, it's like, you don't have to buy new, buy used, like, I buy so much used stuff, like, I hardly ever buy new suspension. I always, always buy used suspension because it's like, it's
yeah.
still good, just service it and you're on your way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
How'd you learn how to do the servicing? You just watch YouTube videos or
yeah, yeah. So when I was first starting, Sid and Mackie, she started Sid Fixes Bike, or they started it,
yeah.
and I watched those videos, and then was servicing suspension. They usually have a service manual, like step by step, like super in depth. So it's just like building Legos, you
Hmm.
know. So
Yeah. You
yeah,
weren't scared?
no, no. The only thing when you first start working on suspension is taking out the wipers, the dust
Hmm.
wipers, because you have to pry them out, and you think you're like messing it up. It's like you're not messing it up. Like
Yeah.
I've pried it out and just got cleaned them and put them back in. But let me show everybody what I was doing today. I'm going to swap over to this.
Oh, look at this guy.
So I had a
So for people that are listening, he's got a Cane Creek coil with it compressed with a bunch of zip ties. So.
Yeah, so I got this short travel coil fork, and it's a 45 millimeter stroke, but the spring is a 55 millimeter spring. So I had about 5 millimeters. I had to compress it to get on the clip. So I took a headset cut press and I just kept twisting it and putting zip ties and checking to see if it was okay. And yeah, I got it on there eventually.
I'll tell you right now, the comment says, "Hey, Evan, not a good idea."
Oh no. But let's see. It worked out. Here's the bike. And let's see if we pause that. Yeah, it made it on there. So I got it installed with the zip ties on still. And then let me get back to that. So then I just sat on the bike and compressed it way more than I did with the headset cut press, and then just started snipping off the zip ties. So
I wonder if that's putting like excessive pressure on the way that it holds the spring, like more than what it should be.
you're talking like in its installed form?
Yeah.
I would say no. It's basically running no preload, and I think I might even need to add just like a little bit of preload,
Mm-hmm.
just so I can get that 30% sag.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't think so.
Right on.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy most about your channel?
Well, man, it's so funny because um it's like I even as a little kid, I would sit there with a Dan's Comp magazine. If you're not familiar, Dan's Comp sells BMX parts, so they
Mm-hmm.
would send out a catalog, a mail order catalog every month. You would get a new one, and I would sit there as a 10-year-old, and I would be writing out builds and the weight and the price and all that stuff. So it's like I would be doing like really weird builds, even if it wasn't for the channel. So it's just
Right.
like I just love doing that kind of stuff. And now I mean I took a break all of January or most of December, all of January. I was doing the training and everything, but I'm finding now it's like I'm kind of pushing off training just to work on the video, just because I don't know, I just like it a lot, you
Yeah.
know?
You really
So,
enjoy what you're doing, is what it comes down to.
yeah, I like building bikes, man. It's freaking
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So how do you deal with like what you were talking about earlier, the how sporadic the income is?
Well, I've been fortunate that it's not sporadic. It hasn't been sporadic at all. Actually, so I did a series called High Low, and that was really what made my channel take off. Where I copied a Donut Media and Pink Bike did it too. Sorry, I need a burp. So it's like you take two identical bikes, one gets like mid-level upgrades, one gets high level like top tier upgrades. And I did that. I played two different characters, myself and Chad, and that really got, I mean, I think the average view count on each video was like 10 videos was like 160,000, which was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I started getting good ads then and everything. I was making probably $10,000 a month between
Mm-hmm.
everything. Um, where was I going with all this? Oh, so yeah, ever since then, like it's been pretty steady, but to be honest, it's steadily declining though. I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed that the interest in mountain biking is not what it used to be 2 years ago. And it really
Mm-hmm.
bums me out. It's like, where are these people going, man? Like you were so hell bent on getting out from the lockdowns, and now what are you doing? You're freaking
Yeah.
self lockdown, self quarantining. It's like dust your cobwebs off your damn bike, dude. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting. But I mean, I think everything in life is cyclic. So, I mean, if it goes down, it'll go up too. So, I definitely
Yeah.
don't think that the sport itself is losing its popularity. Like, if anything, I feel like the sport is like gaining more and more momentum every year, regardless of like what sales are right now. Like, it's definitely like I said to somebody that was on the podcast not too long ago, like when you watch a car commercial now, like pretty much all the like anything that has any kind of outdoory kind of vibe as far as a car goes, you'll
Yeah,
see
yeah.
mountain bikes on it. You
Right.
know, like 5 years ago, you didn't see that. It wasn't like
Yeah.
if there was a Tacoma ad, like for sure there was going to be mountain bikes on it. It's like Tacoma, a Subaru, a F-150, a Chevy truck. You know, like they're showing bikes in some way, shape, or form on every one of them. You know,
So I kind of have an opinion on this. So I think that, bike builds are becoming less popular. And I think mountain biking is now trending towards, instead of, building their bike, it's now trending towards experiences.
mm-hmm.
And that's one reason why I want to get into racing is so I can put out a video about, my experience. I went to a race, and my first race, I kind of plan on making the title like I did my first race and my goal was to not get last place,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
And yeah, I think it's leaning towards experiences. So I would want to kind of dig into that. And have you ever heard of Unbound
yeah,
gravel? Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I got the invite. I got invited. Well, I submitted. It's like a lottery ticket when you sign up. So then
Uh-huh.
you have to get the invite. So yeah, I'm doing Unbound.
How far is that?
Like how far away from me, or how
No,
far
how
is the
far?
race?
Like how big is the ride? Like explain it to people that don't know what Unbound is.
So Unbound is a gravel race. It's part of the Lifetime Grand Prix, and it's kind of like an ultra distance thing. And I'm not an ultra distance guy. They have like 100 mile, 250 mile, 350 mile, but they just came out with a 50 mile race
Oh,
course.
that's where you're at.
So I'm like, let's go. Let me sign up for that. I can do 50 miles, hopefully. I've never done it
Hopefully.
before, but I'll try. And
Yeah.
Unbound last year got a lot of flack because they ran the course through just like crazy mud. And I
Uh-huh.
think they said there was 800 people that DNF'd from that section and just completely destroyed their bikes and everything.
I think I
And
remember seeing pictures from that. Yeah.
yeah, and like that kind of makes me think that now people are like going like, okay, gravel or drop bar mountain bike, and maybe I'll take a freaking mountain bike instead.
Yeah, maybe you just yeah, who knows? I mean, I would think since it's a gravel bike, a gravel race, that you could take a gravel bike and be you'd probably be better off. Do you have a gravel bike?
Yep, I got a gravel bike. It's on demo from Polygon. It's kind of like, so now there's two categories of gravel. There's like a performance and an adventure gravel.
Right.
You might not have heard of that now, but it's going to be a thing in the future. So my gravel bike has a suspension fork, 30 millimeter
Yeah.
suspension. It has a dropper. It has
Yeah.
a one by drivetrain. And then on the flip side, you have carbon gravel that has none of that. Maybe a flexi seat post or stem.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know if I really like the. I'm using it as a trainer bike right now. Um, I think I might kind of lean towards more of a performance thing because, like, they say that the gravel here in Northwest Arkansas is like the chunkiest ever. But when I
Mm-hmm.
ride it on this bike with 50 millimeter tires and everything, it's like the smoothest gravel I
Yeah.
ever. I'm like, where's this damn chunky stuff? So
Yeah.
maybe I'm kind of over biked for the area.
Maybe. Yeah. Or maybe for what you're actually riding. I actually the bike that I ride is kind of a hybrid between a gravel and a road bike. They call it like an all road bike is what the company
Yeah,
calls it.
that's cool.
And so it has like the tire clearance. I have like 45
Nice.
centimeter or millimeter tires on, and um, for what I want to ride it's right because basically I want to ride mostly road, but then whenever I run into some gravel stuff here and there, I can pop on it and pop off of it. I don't really want to go do something that's like chunky and like rocky. Like some guys I see riding gravel, like they're riding some like legit mountain bike trails. I don't want to ride that. Like if I want to ride a legit mountain bike trail, I'm gonna do it on a mountain bike because I'm a mountain biker.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
I
know?
tried that with single track because I'm like, oh, I got a suspension fork, but the body positioning is so even the dropper, I have to have it like so high. So it's like even with the seat all the way low, it's like, dude, it's freaking scary on single track, dude.
Yeah, yeah, and then you have to like where you have to like have your hands like on the hoods to brake,
Oh
compared to
yeah.
like how you would on a mountain bike, and like the bars are so narrow. I mean, even the widest like road bars that you can drop bars you can get are still like maybe like 460. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely no 800, that's for sure.
Yes, I got these things I want to try out on I got an XC build coming up. It's they're inner bar ends. So it goes
Interesting.
inside your grips and it's kind of like a hood to where you can just
Uh-huh.
have another hand position.
For
Um
mountain bikes.
yeah, mountain bikes. So you can put
Oh,
it kind of narrow. They say it helps with aerodynamics or whatever. Um I think I'm gonna return these because I got some $15. These are $50. I got some $15 ones that are they actually feel better in the hand.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna try that out. You know,
Yeah, I used to ride with bar ends on my bike back in the day,
cool,
and
man. Hell yeah.
I really liked
Ooh.
the hand position, but I didn't like the billion comments on YouTube about it, so I just took them off. And
Isn't it
but I still
crazy?
actually hold the ends of my handlebars like that,
Oh
even
wow.
without the bar ends on it, just because it's like a having your hands in that, like your wrists in that position rather than the normal position.
Yeah.
Um, it's just more comfortable, at least when I'm climbing. Like I
Yeah.
find
I
myself
hold
doing it all
on
the time.
the levers. I kind of put my hands on top the levers a lot of the times on
Okay, yeah.
climbs and stuff.
Yeah,
But
I
I
grab
think
the
I
ends of
watched
the handlebars all the time. That's my thing.
I think I watched one of your bike review videos, and aren't you running like your bars like 800 or 820, something like that?
Yeah, they're 800s, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a wide grip there to be
Yeah,
holding
but
the
I'm a big
outside.
guy though too. I mean, I'm 6'2" and like I have pretty broad shoulders, so for me it's about right. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of like how mountain bike is trending, experiences like your weight loss videos. I mean, they're so popular. Like everybody loves that connection with you and that journey and everything. And it's like you're not even really talking about a 90-second review. You're not doing any of that. So
Yeah, it's just a story, that's
yeah,
really
the
what it
story.
is. And I think that that's the thing with your channel as like um at least the type of subscribers that I have, like the people that like my content, it's more of a story that you're checking in for than particularly um like information. Like when I did those 90-second reviews, like to me it was just like something fun to do because I hate doing reviews, but I like wanted to talk about products, you
Yeah.
know. But I hate doing reviews. So for me, like that's perfect because like when my friend asked me if I like these grips, I don't talk to him for 15 minutes. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, these grips suck. Or like, no, they kind of were
Yeah.
expensive and they wear out fast, but I really like this part and I don't like this part, and then I'm done. And I feel like um I enjoyed that format because it really made me like for some things have to really think about what I was going to say for 90 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not that much time when you actually have the clock running, like to spit out as much information as you want. So I was thinking about revamping that and like trying to do it in like 60 seconds.
Yeah, make it
And
a short.
yeah, that's
I
what
think
I
that
was
would
thinking
provide a
about
lot of
doing.
value to people.
Yeah. So like I think with your content, like what I was saying is like somebody could be watching your content because it's like teaching them about this bike that they want to know about, but then maybe it's not like like is that something that they want to come back and see next time when it's not the bike that they want to know about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so with me, what happened with the channel is I was kind of ticking along there, maybe getting 10,000 views a video. It was slowly building and everything. But then I figured out how to use music to like portray an emotion. Because like with
Yeah.
bike builds, I don't know how much you work on bikes, but it never really goes right.
Yeah, yeah.
Like today with the freaking coil thing. Like I thought I would just pop that sucker off, slide it on, and I was like, oh, this will build will be easy. I can do this in a day. It's like 3 days later. I
Yeah.
was like going to Harbor Freight and buying all this crap and um, so what I do is I communicate that. I go, yeah, I've never worked on a coil before, and the problem is it doesn't fit. So I don't know what to do. And then I
Dun,
have an
dun,
idea.
dun.
Yeah, then I go, I go, well, maybe I'll just take my headset press and use these zip ties. What could go wrong? And then I'll have like some dramatic music with that
Yeah.
too. So yeah, I definitely use a story at the same time. And I think that's
Yeah.
when I figured that out, all of a sudden that it was like on a retro S-Works build.
Hmm.
And that video got like 60,000 views. And then I just kept that rolling and the rest is
Yeah.
history. So I use that in every
Yeah.
single video.
I think what you're explaining there is like learning how to edit more. You know what I mean? Like like when you started, where your edits were compared to like where you are now. Those are all things like, because I did the same thing. Like I came to a point where I was like, I used to never put music in because I was like, I'm better than that. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
like, and then I was like, wow, this is so much more, like it tells so much a better story with music. And then I did the same thing with voiceovers for a long time. I never did voiceovers. And then once I started using that, I was like, wow, there's like so much more that I can put into this now, you know?
Yeah, how long ago was your Jamaica video? You went to Jamaica, right?
Yeah, it was like a year or two ago, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching that and I was like, "Man, this is good soundtrack." Yeah, there you go, Jamaican jungle riding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That video did not do well, man. I really wanted it to do better than it did.
Well,
But
I think it's weird, like, when, say, like, BKXC and, Joe Colorado Kid, when they release a video of riding in another country, I don't think people are that interested because they can't picture themselves doing it. Like
yeah.
I'm probably never going to go to Spain or Peru to ride.
Hmm.
Um like but I could see myself going and riding Dirt Merchant and A-Line.
Yeah.
So at least those are like a little bit closer, like okay, like I'll probably do that one day. But like
Yeah.
I don't know, riding in Israel, like nah, probably not going to ride in Israel.
Yeah. I think it depends. Some people just like to watch it to see like the experience of the ride, because I do a lot of local kind of trail guides, let's just call it. So I have a lot of like geographically focused subscribers. So a lot of people are like right here in my area.
Yeah.
So like I explain a trail and like, what my experience was on it and everything. And I think the way that I tell the story, it's still fun for people even that don't live here, just because they get to see like whatever the struggle was or whatever. And I think that's where those type of like BKXE, that's like his bread and butter. It's just like having that story of that ride, and I think he does a good job with like history and putting other like tidbits and stuff. Everybody has their own style, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting, like how different um our content is like between each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, mountain biking, it's like, when I was first starting, they say to niche down, meaning like pick a very, very specific part of like mountain biking is just so broad, or cycling is so broad.
Yeah,
But my thing was like, okay, I'm gonna pick a corner here and just stick to that, bike
yeah.
building. So, oh look, Joe's in the stream. Let's go.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah, he says two glorious beards in one live stream. It's
Man,
amazing,
I'm
right?
getting a lot of gray in my beard these last 2 years, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, mine. The longer mine gets, the more you can see it. So it's like I've got to trim the gray out. But I was going to ask you, have you done one of those like Chinese frame builds kind of videos?
No, man,
What do
I've
you think?
I've wanted to for like forever, and I've like I used to do when I was a kid. I've made the spreadsheet and got selected all the parts and the costs and the weight and
Uh-huh.
everything, but I just can't pull the trigger. And the biggest reason why is because like every build that I do, a lot of times well, not so much anymore. Maybe like 50% of the time I have to buy the bike, and I
Hmm.
know how much I can sell the bike for. So I know that
Yeah,
I can take on a little bit of financial risk because I
yeah,
know I'll get a certain amount of money back. And with a Chinese carbon bike, like I don't even think I would feel comfortable selling it because
right.
they say they're good and people love them and everything, but you don't see them on the used market, and I don't think it
No,
would sell. So I would
yeah,
have a hard time spending $1,000 on a super sick Chinese build just because I know. I mean, I sell all my bikes. I don't
yeah,
keep anything.
yeah,
So
yeah. I have a coworker that bought one, and he's been riding it for a while, and no problems. I ran into some guy the other day that built this e-bike. It's like a Chinese e-bike
Yeah,
for
man. They
like
they
a
have
fraction of the cost.
they have a sick community, e-bike, mountain bike forum, something like that, where they have a bunch of people talking about the Deng Fu and the
Yeah.
all this stuff, and a lot of the Deng Fu like EO3, they freaking make all the motors for all the brands anyway, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I actually prototyped an e-bike motor that's from a legit brand. I had to sign an NDA. So they're making their own frame and their own motor. And dude, this thing had like 105 Newton meters. This thing freaking has a power, dude. I
Oh, really?
loved it, man. I loved it.
Right on.
Yeah.
I thought about buying one of those frames, um,
What's up, Ben?
actually just for my trainer. I thought about doing a video on that and buying one of those like cheap like road bike or gravel frames, and then just having it purely just for my trainer. Then that way, if I want to ride my gravel bike, I don't have to take it off the trainer. And I
Yeah.
thought it would be kind of a fun video to like. I figured there could be a story there, you know.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I do have a Chinese carbon road bike frame that I bought used, because I have a Trek
You're like,
Madone.
there's no used market for it, but I bought one used.
Road biking is different, but it was like new in box basically. But I have a Trek Madone from 2007, and it's like a 56 centimeter. It does not fit me at all. It causes so much pains and aches when I
Uh-huh.
ride it. So I was just gonna frame swap. But now I kind of don't even want to, because like with your friend, you know, the dialed health guy, that's so unfortunate. Like fucking road biking is the most dangerous form of cycling, like by
Yeah, it
far,
is.
you know,
Yeah.
and people just are on their phone. They're not even paying attention, you know. And then online, if you read Instagram comments, like if a biker gets hit on the reels, people are laughing about it. So like
Yeah.
there's this whole like propaganda against cyclists sharing the road, and people have a lot of hate towards cyclists. So it's like, fuck road biking, man. Like I hate
Yeah.
that shit. I don't even like riding on the road. Like with the gravel bike, I did like a 0.1 road segment, kind of on like a highway. The route made me basically. There was no
Yeah.
way around it, and I basically just sprinted the whole thing, and I was like looking back constantly. And if I saw a car coming, I would just hop in the grass. You know, screw it. If I get a puncture, it's like at least I don't have to count on this person paying attention. You know, and the shoulder
Yeah,
was this
especially with
wide.
cell phones and stuff nowadays, there's so many things distracting drivers even more than they were 10 years ago. It's
Yeah.
the conversation I was having with my wife yesterday about it was like the margin of like time that it takes you to like swerve a little bit and accidentally hit somebody on a bike is like so small. You know, like it's not like I hate to say it, you know, all of us at one point or another have been like looking at something on our phone while we're driving, and then all of a sudden looked up and been like, oh shit, I'm not in my lane anymore. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or like, I'm starting to go,
Sure.
you know, and it's like, that's what happens, you know, in some circumstances. In other circumstances, it's, maybe somebody's been drinking or something else completely different. But a lot of that is like, it's such a small like margin of error that can happen now to like seriously like ruin somebody's life. Like you can kill them. Most of the time you see it on the news, it's like this cyclist got hit, they're dead. You know?
Yep. I don't know. Messed up my voice there for a second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like, I don't know. So I bought that frame, and I don't even think I'll put it like do the frame swap. I think I might do what you're talking about. Just like make a build, like no brakes. And it's like with the Zwift cog thing, it's like I don't need a derailleur, you know. So
Yeah.
no brakes. I'll just get the hoods and bars, grip tape, fork, and front wheel, you know. And then it's like
Yeah.
that's a pretty sick build, you know.
Yeah, and when I was looking at I almost pulled the trigger last year because it was like when I was doing Zwift all the time, but the weather started getting better, and then it's just I'm so lazy. I'm so lazy that I would rather spend like $500 on a Chinese carbon frame than just take my bike off the trainer. But it's the truth, and that's whenever I almost did it because I was like, man, the weather was getting nicer, so it'd be like one day I would want to be on my gravel bike on the road, and then the next day I would want to be on the trainer, and it's like this is such a pain in the ass. I don't
No,
know.
I don't think that's lazy at all. I think you got to remove if you want to train, you got to remove barriers.
Yeah.
Because if it's so training is so mental that you could have a long day at work and it's like you want to train, but it's like just looking at your trainer and having to put your bike on there. It's like, oh, it's like screw it. No, nope, not doing it.
Yes.
You know?
Like, it's funny you say that because honestly, this year I wanted to start doing Zwift probably in like the beginning of December. And it took me to January until I finally was like, went out in my garage and set it up. And really what it came down to is like I had a new bike. So I knew that I had to get a different cassette. And my new bike had a through axle where my old bike had a quick release. So I had to like change how the trainer was set up. And realistically, it took me like 10 minutes to do it. But those barriers were enough where I was like, I'll do it tomorrow. And like, it's not a big deal. And I put it off for
Yeah.
a month. Like that 10 minutes of work I put off for a month, you know?
Well, think about the people that like have to take down their whole setup every time. Like, um, you said your TV, you just kind of push it back, and it's like I
Yeah.
got a TV up on mine, and I just have it like stationary here, like it doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's like there's people that like put up and put down every single time. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
recipe for failure, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think you really nailed it well when you say you have to take away the barriers. I mean, because it's honestly like, it's so the truth because it's, first of all, like, it's not like you're like, how do I say this? Like, I don't look forward to riding the trainer at all. Like, it's like not fun. It's a pain cave. It's like the only reason I'm doing it is because I want to have more fun on the trail
Yeah,
and I don't want to lose my fitness while the weather's shitty. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's like it's so easy for me not to want to do it. And yeah, removing those barriers, it definitely helps.
Yeah, so this is the fourth time I've tried Zwift, dating back to 2018, and every single time before I hated it, but this time I actually enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know.
The only yeah, I don't like it. I really don't. I
Yeah,
have a buddy that I ride with
I
all the time, and even in the summertime, he'll be like, "Oh, it's just more efficient. I'll just jump on the trainer and go do a trainer ride." And I'm like, "Dude, if the sun's out, there is no way I'm getting on that trainer. Like zero chance."
yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
will
I'm
do a
kinda telling
crappy
myself, I think I might continue this in the summertime. I might.
I told myself that last winter, and as soon as it got nice out, I didn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's more of like a time thing with, like, the kids and everything. It's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I could get a really good workout, or I could get like a zone 1 ride, recovery
Yeah.
ride, watching YouTube the whole time." So,
I think
um,
that's the thing that is really nice is like being able to just like walk out and do it for an hour and be like done. Like in 1 hour and 1 minute, you're completed and walking away. You know?
uh, so we're kind of winding down on time, right? But I wanted to bring
Yeah,
up this
yeah.
topic. I didn't want to miss out on this. So one thing with our last conversation, the last podcast, it really stuck out at me is you were telling me like I was kind of saying like I don't really like enduro riding,
Okay.
and you're like you oh no you will like enduro riding or something like that. Maybe not you weren't being mean or anything,
It
but you're
sounds like me though.
like
I'm buying it.
you're like, oh, you'll progress and you'll want to ride enduro. And you were right. I mean, I did start riding a little bit of enduro. I ended up getting an enduro bike, and enduro bikes are freaking awesome. Like
Yeah.
170 mil travel, freaking awesome. But there is like an enduro park here. It's called Leatherwood. It's a shuttle
Uh-huh.
park. It has 350 feet of elevation, but it's chunky, dude. It's real
Uh-huh.
chunky. But I kind of found out that I don't like enduro riding. But one thing that I don't like I like chunk, but
Uh-huh.
I don't like when it's so steep. Like I went to Sedona. I fucking hated Sedona. Highline was scary as hell. I would try it again, but I did not enjoy like how steep that shit was.
I think with that stuff, the more that you do it, the less that it's intimidating and then the fun factor changes.
Yeah. Well, the chunk here,
Especially
like I look forward to riding chunk, even on the hardtail. I freaking love it.
yeah.
But yeah, when it starts getting to like so steep where you know, if you touch your brakes, you could either go front or back, you know, OTB.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like that much.
Yeah. I think it just like, somebody's saying in the comments right now too, that steep takes getting used to. And I really agree. I know that, the first time I rode in Santa Cruz, the trails there to me were so steep. And I just remember being like, you're crazy. I'm walking down everything.
Yeah.
Like, and now there's stuff that I ride on the regular where I'm like, that I used to think was super steep, and I look at it now and I'm like, oh, this is pretty flat. Like, yeah, I would like there's rock rolls that I did 3 or 4 years ago that I would have stood on top of that rock for like 15 minutes trying to talk myself into like going down it.
Yeah.
And those like same like type of rolls now, I could be following one of my buddies and we're just cooking down the trail. I'll roll right down it, not even trip. You know what I mean? Like just like, oh yeah, that's normal. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I think it's just getting used to that stuff, honestly.
Yeah, for me coming out to Bentonville, like Bentonville is, you know, pretty much perfect for me because there's nothing steep like that.
Yeah,
So, but Bentonville really has a lot of areas where you can do like progression, like a 12-foot drop or and things
yeah,
like that. And you really it can kick you up to like 30 miles an hour sometimes, and your perspective on speed changes, and it really makes people better riders, like even just
yeah,
visitors, you know, like if you're coming like all of a sudden you're jumping a 30-foot jump, you're like, whoa, there wasn't anything
yeah,
like that in Phoenix, you know?
yeah. We don't have
Um,
good progression in a lot of places. I wish that we had stuff like you guys have where I live.
yeah, well, when I moved here, like I just kind of took it slow, you know, the drop the hammer, the 12-foot drop. It took me 4 months to hit it. I wasn't sitting there like at the edge of it like every single session, but I was like, ah, no, no. And then just one day I was like, I gotta go hit it. And it was in the winter, sun was going down. I left my house at 4:45 p.m. and sun sets at 5:15. But I was like, I'm going, I'm making a beeline straight to it. I didn't even look at it, just sent it right off, and the rest is history. Now I do it on a hardtail and flats, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so yeah, man. I don't know. I just kind of like I went to the enduro stage, and I was like, okay, maybe I will race enduro. So I was like trying to get PRs on the enduro trails, but I would just like make little mistakes here, or you know, miss my brake lever or accidentally pull my brake lever and have a crash or things like that. And I'm
yeah,
like, you know what, like I don't need that in my life, you know, like I like going trail speed, you know?
yeah, yeah. I think at the end of the day, do what makes you happy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, regardless of what it is. Like, if you like riding gravel bikes, if you like riding gravel bikes on mountain bike trails, if you like riding hardtails on enduro trails, like whatever it is, like if it makes you happy to go outside and do that, then do that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like Bentonville's a really good place for me. Like right when I moved here, I put out a couple videos and they're like, wait, how did he become like a pro rider in like a week? It's like, dude, I'm riding like Bentonville has a lot of flow trails. It's basically like a downhill BMX track. It's like I've
Yeah,
always
yeah,
had those skills, you know.
yeah.
So, man, I had a fun video series. There's a jump line here called Cease and Desist, and it's
Uh-huh.
a downhill flow trail, and it's pretty big. But there's a KOM segment on there on Strava with freaking 5,800 people that have tried it,
Oh
and
wow.
I made it my goal. I even made up a KOM bike, and I ended up snagging the KOM.
You got it?
Freaking, oh yeah, just
Oh nice. I remember
pushing.
seeing like some of the lead up to it, but I didn't catch the one where you actually got the KOM.
Yeah, man, just like riding like crazy. I think I could have went faster, but the trail was starting to get kind of loose and everything, and
Uh-huh.
it was turning into springtime. So it's like wintertime here, the trails get so packed in and blue grooved. I love
Yeah.
it. But then like spring and summer, it gets kind of washy.
Dude,
So
that's sick, man. The
yeah.
only the only KOM I've ever had was on a trail that I built before anybody else rode it.
Nice, man.
So that was it. It was short lived. It was like the next day. It was like poof, it's gone.
Yeah, now I want to try to get KOMs on climbing trails. I think that's like super
Yeah,
freaking cool, man. Like, not, you know, I was like out of shape when I did the KOM on the downhill one, you know,
yeah,
but freaking on a climbing trail, like, dude, that's years of preparation to get one of those, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's work, man. Well, hey,
Hell
dude,
yeah.
here we are, 2 hours, man. there's still like a billion things I want to talk to you about. So we'll have to get together again. Hopefully it's not 2 years until the next show.
Yeah. Yeah, well, let me know if you're coming to Bentonville, man. I'll show you around. That's another thing I love doing. I love showing visitors around Bentonville. Like I might even make a trail guide book. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it'd be super fun, man. It'd be really, really, really good to get together. So I really appreciate you taking the time though today and hanging out with me and all the other people in the biker bar. It's always good chatting with you, man. Honestly, time goes by quick, so that's fun.
Yeah, let me know if you have if someone drops out, you need a fill in. I would love to do it like sooner than later, you know?
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely. So, anyways, let's do that for sure. I'll definitely keep you in mind. That's good to have those people because honestly, sometimes like last minute things come up and you're like, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, now I'm stressing. How am I going to make this work? But so that's good to know. Anyways, those of you guys that are still listening and still hanging out, if you're new here, maybe Evan brought you over, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, thumbs up, that kind of stuff makes me feel good. It may not mean anything to the algorithm or whatever, but it makes me feel good. So just push the button. If you're thinking about buying a new bike right now, check out Fazari. They got some good deals over there. I really enjoy the LaSalle that I'm on, and I'm pretty stoked about the couple of bikes that I'm going to be riding next year. So definitely keep an eye on the biker channel and you'll see what I'm working up over there. It's going to be fun. Outside of that, there is something that you can do for free. All you got to do is remember, it only takes a bike to be a biker. Get out and be one.